Hello, I'm Steve. A little about myself. I'm a retired law enforcement officer with 20 years of service. I began my career in the jail, worked the road, and became an investigator. During my career, my training consisted of everything from SWAT to becoming a state certified crime scene technician. I've investigated crimes from thefts to homicides. After retiring and becoming aware of true crime and web sleuths, I started my channel for web sleuths to better understand the perspectives of law enforcement. Not only do we cover true crime, I go out into the field and assist families who have lost loved ones to homicide and their cases are considered cold. Join me as we look and bring attention to these critical cases.
Hello, everyone. How y'all doing tonight? If you're new to the channel, thank you for being here. We on the Morning Watch crew, we have a little bit different program, and it's a little bit shorter presentation. And of course, if you have any questions or anything, I'll try to get to them as we go along with the show. It's been an exciting day. I was on Chris's show earlier today, and when we had the all the docks being dropped, and of course they were something that was far more revealing than I imagined was or would ever come to pass at this stage, and most certainly very interesting, and we have to look at that, and we will. But anyway, let's see who's in chat right quick, and then we'll get on with the show. And be always in chat, be mindful to be respectful of the mods, families, and each other. All right, Gail's in the house. Let's see here. Hello, Todd. Good to see you. Triple S is here. Nan. Let's see. Right on, Josephine. Mrs. Steve's is asleep. We've had a very, very busy day. Hello, Dave. Hello, Polygraph. Sandra Rocks is here. Jocelyn, Emerald Cities. Good to see you. Gail Hurd is here. Thank you for your kind words. Pamela, good to see you. Mitzi, Kelt, Dwayne's Prospect and Adventures. Hello. In my opinion, they got him, is what Dave says, good news. And it is. I was speaking on Chris's show, and of course, I was, amazed when we were scanning through the documents, and I saw that phone call, and always being the the pessimist of it's too good to be true, and from law enforcement, you always have to step back because I've received false confessions in my career. And you have to look at the individual that is providing it and what could motivate someone to confess. And you have a lot of confessions from a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons. I've had people confess to me about certain crimes just because they liked me. And then, of course, they would recant the confession prior to court and things. And I always found that amazing. And of course, you have to be careful with some of the individuals that have a lower IQ that sometimes are preyed upon by law enforcement to give those false confessions. But I got to thinking about it after Chris' show, and exactly who are we looking at here that made this confession? And we're talking about an individual that interjected himself into the investigation early on. And he had an opportunity back then to, if he wanted to, he could confess, but he hasn't until in April, which is absolutely amazing. And we're going to look at that timeline and a little bit more about Richard Allen and just what type of and how much weight we can give to this confession. Earlier on, I was hoping that, and he may have in some of his confessions, that some of these people confessed about certain knowledge that only the offender would have. And that's a dreamboat confession. And if he's done that to someone that works with the state, huge, great, wonderful. Don't know that he has. But still, even if he hasn't, like I said, this isn't, like anyone can call in and say, hey, or go on the phone and say, hey, I committed a crime. Anybody could say that. But with this individual, Richard Allen is not just any individual. And this is something that we have to look at. As always, if you have any information about Richard Allen or about anybody about this case, Libya Abbey, or any details of it, make sure law enforcement has it, because we ultimately, the one thing that we have to have is justice for Libya and Abbey. And so if you have any information, make sure law enforcement gets that. And with that in mind, we have to look at who Richard Allen is. It's just not a random confession, because we're talking about an individual who, out of nowhere, contacted, according to his attorneys, law enforcement, met with a conservation officer, and puts himself on the bridge at a critical time. And so it's not a false confession that he put himself on bridge, because we have witnesses that had interactions with individual, and he had interaction with those individuals, and with the three girls. And then we have where he says he's on the first platform, and we have a witness that says, yes, I saw an individual on the first platform dressed in that manner. And so very supporting evidence. So it's that part of him confessing that I was on the trails that day. Absolutely. And at that time, it's prior to any type of housing or being a suspect. And he just steps forward, makes this confession. I was on the bridge that day, didn't see anything. Have a good day. And he advised that he had parked there at the CPS. And later on, when law enforcement realized and did a second interview with him in 2022, he says, yes, I was dressed such as what BG was. And he owns a vehicle that's similar to what was described at the CPS. So when you start looking at these things, all these things are more than what the average person that would just walk in and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I committed that crime. Okay, well, where did you park? I don't know. This individual, everything, if you had a checklist of things that you were looking for, and law enforcement had that checklist, and they were looking for an individual that was on the bridge that day, dressed a certain way, driving a certain type of car, and parked at a certain location during a certain time. And Richard Allen is an individual who's not only confessed to the crime, but he hits every one of those checks. And then we find out from the processing of the crime scene that there is a unspent round recovered. And this is huge for the fact that the individual that's confessed to this crime, there's an expert that works for the state that says he owns a gun, that Richard Allen owns a gun, that the bullet that was recovered from the crime scene is has been cycled through that Richard Allen firearm, which is yet again just something absolutely so supporting that just knocks your shoes off. And so we have to look at those stuff. And now he's confessed to numerous people numerous times, and even to his wife on the phone, who hung up. There's a lot of different reasons, and we're not going to be attacking and trying to figure out why she hung up. Was it because she was just disgusted with his actions, or from being protective? Who knows? I don't know. Not even going to go that way either way. And of course, he has no alibi, because he says, I'm there at that time. Doesn't need an alibi. He's at the crime scene. He's, I've been there. You could yell to the crime scene and probably, depending on the direction of the wind, be able to communicate with somebody from the crime scene. All right, let me get back into chat before I get too far behind. Let's see here. Make sure if anybody has any questions yet. Hello, Forensic 805. Haven't seen you that I can recall. That's a great name, Forensics 805. Derek Farmer's in the house. Good to see you, Derek. Derek is extremely, I enjoy talking to him. See-throughs here. Emerald City. Sharon Edwards. Hello to Stephen Waffles. And if you're new to the channel and you don't know who Waffles is, that's my sidekick here when Mrs. Steve's not here. Sharon Richardson, thank you. I'm glad you like the channel, or you love the channel. Absolutely. And let's see what else we got going on over here. Lisa, good to see you. Let's see. Bessie says, do we know who he confessed to? We know it. One person that he absolutely confessed to was to his wife during a phone call in April of this year. And of course, it has been, there's a transcript somewhere on it. Because law enforcement says that's what has been done with that recording. And so will they release that transcript? Has it been released? I don't know. I haven't went through all the documents yet, but that has been transcribed from what I saw in the reports. So yes, his wife. And this is DNA in his car, in my opinion, case closed. I think it's pretty well closed without it, because like I said, we've got an individual. It's just not a person on the street or some loony bin that wants 10 minutes of fame. And we have an individual that has a lot of information that he's already shared. And so I don't think it looks good for Mr. Richard Allen. Will it go to trial now? I think a few weeks ago, or not a few weeks ago, but in one of my shows, I thought that there was only probably a 25% chance of it going to trial. I thought that 75%. I was up to 75% that he would go ahead and enter a different plea and quit working with the attorneys, and I think that has gone up exponentially since learning what was in these paperworks that was released. Absolutely unbelievable. But like I said, he's confessed 5 or 6 times, incriminating. The attorneys are absolutely saying it's just due to his mental state, and that's what attorneys do. And one of the interesting things that we have to look at is the firearm. And it's kind of interesting because I did a little bit of research on the firearm as I was looking through this, and saw, but that when they went in, of course, they found his gun, they found some ammunition, they found some magazines, and they have a sealed plastic bag containing 2 magazines. One filled with 9 40 caliber cartridges and one with 8 40 caliber cartridges. And there's a lot of firearms out there that carry a lot of different magazine capacities. Of course, the Sig Sauer P226, one of the designs was it's 10+1, meaning that the magazines will hold 10 and +1. And of course, you can always have less in them, and they have some high capacity magazines also. I think the highest one for this particular firearm, I think it's 15. There may be some more that I didn't see, but and so while I was looking at that, and we'll get back to this on this, that I was looking at was because knowing a lot about firearms, been around them a lot in my life, that sometimes there's issues with the magazines, and that a lot of people can't get them fully loaded. And if you have a 10-round magazine, you can't get it fully reloaded. That puts you down to around 9. I'm a mathematician, guys. And so I went and looked up, was there any articles or issues about it? And of course, I found some blogs and some forums out there where they were talking about this particular firearm, and that there was a lot of 10-round magazine issues, and that they would only hold 9. And I found that very interesting because when you look at it, that one had 9 40 calibers and one had 8 40 calibers. And we have one bullet at a crime scene. It's not so much that is that I'm saying that this is the exact bullet, but we have to look at that. Law enforcement will look at those other 8 bullets in that one magazine, and they'll also look at the other 9 bullets in the other magazine. And if they compare them and they look at them and see if they're from the same manufacturer and they have the same components, weights, gunpowder, and everything maps out, and it's from the same manufacturer, from the same lot number, and from the crimp on up to the primers, everything matches. Then, of course, if the one at the crime scene matches what's in those magazines, then that's even another possible link to his gun, to his person. All right, let me get back in the chat here right quick before I get too far behind, because chat's flying. Let's see here. It don't take me but a minute to get behind on this. Let's see. There's the DNA part of it. Get that out of here. All right, let's get back in the chat here now. Let's see. Triple S says, do you think they will release the call? Is there any way the defense could realistically get those calls thrown out? I don't think no, because they're whenever you receive or you make these calls, it's well known and it's there. It's a disclaimer. It tells you you're receiving a call from so and so who is an inmate. The call will be recorded, and the inmate is hearing it also. And there's signage up explaining that of what's happening when you make a call. It's common knowledge, and so I don't see that getting out. Some of the other stuff may get kicked out, but I don't see how you'll ever kick this one out. And don't see that happening. Right on Josephine says, how'd he move the bodies? Well, we don't know how far he moved them. I always thought that he may have staged them, posed them, or whatever. And wherever the crime scene tape was on that side of the creek he could have moved them easily within there. Because moving, what does moving mean? It can be 1 foot, or it can be 50 feet, or it can be 50 miles. But I always thought it would just be a few feet. And I still believe that's the case. See-through says that believe Allen acted alone, and that right now that appears to be the case. We don't have any other evidence otherwise right now. I just hate the two, and it always confused me is those two different sketches, and why did the girls run the direction they went? Always bothers me, and still bothers me. Ray Jones, good to see you. Well, and yes, why did he, and why has he, and will this change? Because we see it all the time. I've been in court hundreds and hundreds of times where people have pled not guilty, and then all of a sudden, right before a jury, yes, change my plea, and it can have a lot of reasons why that happens. I just don't know why he did on this. Hello, Badger Mama, good to see you. You're here with the TCW tribe. Good. Yes, Stephanie, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're um, enjoyed the time with the chat, and uh, we have a wonderful community. Kelt said, Steve, how do you feel about finding out his exit time is pushed out to almost 4 p.m.? I don't, uh, it was what, 3 something when 3:20, whatever, the lady saw him going down the road. Being there, and, you know, I've seen, we had a guy one time, a deputy went to get his check cashed. Um, and he was in the drive-through, and as he was pulling out of the drive-through at the bank cashing his check, the bank robbers were entering the bank, and sometimes that happens. People just pass, never see each other. You have a criminal and a good guy, never sees each other, and uh, when he committed this crime, Richard Allen, on this crime of the abduction and the homicides, it's extremely high risk. Middle of the day, people on the trail, he knew that. And what was clicking in his mind, I have no idea, but I can't wait to hear. Has he? I don't know who else he confessed to. I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of people speculating a lot about that, and there may already been some leaks. And but um, the the defense, uh, even if the wife can't testify, that audio of him, at least with this one confession, will. I don't see any way that it will get kicked out. Let's see here. Um, and yes, you can't compel them or force them. And I don't know if there is certain things, um, and the problem with sometimes with spouses and relationships, even if you do have people that have known relationships, sometimes they have an agenda, and you have to be careful even when someone's testifying of why you didn't, and why are you coming for now? Why didn't you come forward? And so there's a lot of things about that, and but I don't know if what Indiana's is on that. Steve, you think it's possible after all this time to get a soil dirt sample from his vehicle, tying Rich out into the dirt at crime scene? You know, it's possible. Now on his boots and things, absolutely, probably more so, and especially his boots and his clothing. If they were exposed, and to any of the blood. Then of course we always have that blood spatter that might come back to haunt him. And from seeing the long list of items that they cleaned out his closet, and they cleaned out his cell phone safe and his knife safe, that he there's a great possibility. I, I don't know so much. He lived pretty close to that creek, and I don't know how much difference in the soil sample from where his residence is to where that creek is, or if it, because he's really just within, as the crow flies, within a mile. Ann says, and she would know more than I from the attorney side of it, if she does so voluntarily. But and she didn't hear directly from her husband. Like, for example, was he home? Do they have a cat? Okay. Thank you, Ann. No, I don't think the phone transcript's been released yet, Ann. No, I don't. Uh, there's a possibility it will be. Um, I don't know where her phone is. I don't have those details yet. And I haven't read all the information. If it's in there that it is under her, that's interesting. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't read all the documents yet, and I don't know everything that's been released yet. I've been just concentrating mostly on who Richard Allen and thinking about uh, what the potential of why he would do this and um, what motivated him to just all of a sudden in April say, "Okay, it's over." Frank, good to see you. Yes, the bullet is absolutely key. Whatever DNA, and I don't know, and like I said, I've always thought that there's the potential for DNA, and I don't know what other evidence they still have from the crime scene, such as clothing and things, but there's always that possibility. Um, WO22 says law enforcement state withholding actual date that RA talked to conservation in 2017, or did they lose that? You know, uh, we saw today that I believe it was in September was when Richard Allen came on the radar. That's when they realized, oh, we have an individual we haven't followed up with that says, uh, pick me, pick me. I was on the bridge. And so from then till the time that he was arrested was a short period of time. So they realized their mistake pretty quick. Okay. So it's in the search warrant. I haven't read all yet. That was under her body at scene says to me she didn't do much with the bodies. That and drop and shell was a very disorganized state. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I hadn't seen. I saw where it was mentioned in chat 2 or 3 times that it was under her body, so I knew there had to be some reason for that because we'd always heard that it was across the creek with her shoe was the rumor, and but now it's um, under the body. Interesting. I don't know of any DNA at this point, but that may not be the case soon for the fact that um, what part of the issues, um, and that's from this part here, where they're talking about carpeted area underneath the spare tire of the Ford Focus. And where the spare tire is in the Ford Focus, I've got to go find out and see how that is encased and see how many, because some of them are they're under decks of carpet and cardboard, and there are a little false deck in the back of them. I don't know on his vehicle on the Ford Focus where it's at, but be interesting to see, and because they went in and took a cutting from that area for some reason. Did they do some type of presumptive testing and find something that says we need a further analysis? And also from the driver's lap belt and shoulder belt. And then also from the passenger side carpeted floorboards. What lit up? What said we need further analysis on those areas? Because law enforcement just doesn't go out and take random, either you have to, when you're looking at a crime scene and you see something and you have a clue or visual, then your attention's drawn to it and you'll do the steps necessary to collect it. And so either it's through just visual observation, they saw something, or it was through some type of presumptive testing. Well, because like I said, law enforcement's not real good about just having a psychic event and saying we need to go check this. Uh, Let me see here. Let's see. Trying to get caught up again. I get so far behind so quick. Yeah, there's so many documents out there. It's going to take, you know, um, um, so much time to go through each one of those. And I know some people have concentrated on just certain ones, and that's great. Um, I've been so busy working on my code case. I've been testing all day today. Yeah, the bullet's key. Let's see here. See if I can get caught back up here. Yeah, I don't know if he was friends with the conservation officer or not. No, 40 cal is not a small caliber. Gail said never would have crossed that bridge, Steve. A lot of people haven't. Yeah, he had a lot of flip phones. Yeah, on magazines, clips, different types of platforms. Um, it fully loading one is very difficult at times. The nearer, the harder. Mr. Steve, Andrew makes a good point. How can Libby's phone be under her if the bodies were moved? Well, there's a at crime scenes, a lot of things happen in a certain area. Was the phone out at some time during a struggle? And then he moved them back to that location. It's just happenstance. Or was she, uh, or is that the main point? And she dropped the phone and was incapacitated at that moment. There's so many different things that we don't know about that crime scene, and I'll look at that search warrant and see if I can see anything else about it. I just hadn't got to it yet. Yes, Triple S. I'll go over everything as I get time this coming up weekend. Absolutely. Todd, he didn't discharge the unspent bullet. He just cycled it through and ejected it. It wasn't discharged. Derek Farmer, $4 super sticker. Thank you, Derek. Appreciate it. You get a blue light. Appreciate your support. We're going up into, I've got to go up to Evansdale in a couple of weeks, and I appreciate your support. Let's see. Try and get caught back up with chat. It says he confessed to his mother too. All right, that's interesting. Um, you know, a lot of people will lie to their spouses, um, and very few people will lie to their mothers. Because you never want to break mama's heart. True crime. What would they be looking for under his spare tire? Uh, they would go in those any hidden spaces or anything where something could be concealed. They might be looking for a weapon, or they know that that's where people hide things. You put them in areas where, if there's an old dirty tire or something, old oily rags, clothing, things like that, messy stuff. People hide things in those areas and always have and always will, I guess. Well, I hope you get feeling better, Gail. Yeah, it could be anything from muddy, bloody stuff that's under that spare to the outline of a knife to the outline of a gun. Who knows? And Ann says confused about the 5'10", the witness that says black clothing was 5'10". Um, I when they were, I just think it's just one person of the three just glanced and saw something and just made, you know, witnesses are terrible. Eyewitnesses are terrible in identifying people. Always have been, and misidentifying people. And and I think that's all it is because you're talking about um, some young children that are together and they're talking, they're not focused, and they may just glance and see somebody. And so I don't put a lot of stock in that, other than they say the others, you know, uh, described him accurately, and one of them didn't. So, but it was all at the same time period. So I'm not. It doesn't concern me that much. Yes, see through. I hope there are some footprints. Now he has. He wears many different sizes of shoes. I think I saw everything in some of the documents from 6.5 to an 8. If uh, IMS 93 says if this case doesn't go to trial, will the details of the case ever come out? Will it remain secret? I hope it comes out. I really do. Um, and I hope it's like what happened with BTK and not what happened with the Golden State offender. Okay, thank you, Ann. Appreciate that. She just sent me the search warrant part of it. Mrs. Steve downloaded everything today, but like I said, I've had a busy, busy day. Yeah, and Todd, I don't know how many people that conservation officer talked to during his duties during that, and is that part of the reason that everything was missed and looked, and who knows? Pax says, based on what's been revealed so far, do you think he may have done something like this before? I think he has some type of criminal activity in his background. Absolutely, because what type of person just wakes up one day and goes out and abducts two children and commits such a crime? Um, and there has to be something that drove him to that, something that triggered him. And has he been triggered before? Whatever happened that day that triggered him to commit this, um, he has potential to been triggered before for that. Hello, Dino. You're up for the morning watch. Good to see you. There's Lisa. Yes, Emerald City. I wish he would do it just like BTK. See through. Could a tire iron have been used? Just a thought. Um, Anything could have been used, um, and it's very possible. I think who was it? Wasn't it Bundy who used uh, blunt? I think he used a tire iron a time or two. Hello, Chris Owens. Good to see you. No, I haven't seen all the documents yet, but what else other than guys down the hill? I think if they had a lot more, they would have released it. But we don't know. You never know when what law enforcement wants to hold um, close to the chest, just to make sure we don't have those false confessions. Yes, there was a tire iron recovered, I believe, from the river search. WO22. How many carbs are in disclosure papers? That's I've seen people eat stuff before. I don't know if they will ever release the interrogation video, but um, you know, there's still a lot of stuff that's sealed. Dave said never felt that it would be solved with DNA. I always thought it would be at some point when the technology got there. Hello, la la. Um, yeah, I saw the one where Richard was holding the dog. I don't know how many other pictures were. Yes, Betsy. I try to get caught up all the time reading chat. Um, yeah, y'all outnumber me quite a bit there, which I'm very grateful for. Um, absolutely amazing. I have, it just humbles me every time I look over here and I see a lot of these people are so kind and nice to each other, and we appreciate that. Um, Ava says, "Do we know how detailed and consistent these confessions were?" No, not right now. The defense put them off as that they were inconsistent. We'll just have to see if there's any clarification on that when, and it may be in these documents. Um, like I said, I don't know how many pages are of these documents right now, but I look forward to reading through them. Yeah, and there's a lot of people that collect knives, but now he has a collection of phones, and how many of those phones are his and are his daughters or his wife's, and they keep them, or is there other reasons that he might collect burner phones or collect phones or refuse to turn them in? There's a lot of different reasons that might happen and might cause him to have that many phones. Yes. If you ask me all the people I met today and what they were wearing, I'd be lost as last year's Easter egg. Tax cut streamer. What was your favorite duty gun? I think maybe he was trying to say Steve. Um, let's see. I still carry when I was working and working the road. I did like a 40 cal. The ballistics and everything that was with it was just the go-to round, especially on our working and doing dynamic entries um, and with SWAT and serving. You want that extra punch, but now that I'm retired, um, I carry a nine and a 9 millimeter and a Beretta 92. Actually, I bought it in 19. I think I bought it in 1989. Um, and Beretta 92 F. And they transitioned to Glock a few years later. Before that, we had to carry revolvers. Juicy B says, "Sorry for being late." You're not late. K McBee, good to see you. Yeah, I saw Lala where the house was for sale. Oh yeah, you're right on the witness that says it dressed in black, but the other two all talking about the same time frame. So, like I said, I think it's just what you see. I have a red grain deficiency, and so when Mrs. Steve and I see somebody, it's two different descriptions instantly, and we don't know what her color uh, identification chart is. I don't know if the shoe size things is it could be just simply that different. He has many different shoe makes, and some of them vary greatly. Dino says, "Steve, I thought you'd be a Sig man." Um, no, I I own a few different types, but I just don't own a Sig. Yeah, Emerald City. It could possibly that Richard did know him, and he may have targeted him. You know, there's been rumor that he was on those trails quite often, so he could have targeted them previously. See, they're selling the house or for bail money. He would only need 2 million to get out, wouldn't he? I don't know. I don't think that uh, you know he may have a bond, but I don't believe that it will ever be made. All right. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Y'all let me know if I missed anybody because it's quite easy for me to miss people. And I'll go back through chat here towards the end. But I appreciate everybody being here tonight. And let's see what else I've got that I put over here. I can't remember. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is where on April the 3rd that he contacted his wife. And what happened, what triggered that event. Um, because, you know, on April the 3rd, you're only looking at from the time frame a couple of weeks after of the anniversary. And what could have triggered him? Was it the possibility, the anniversary of 3 weeks prior? And um, just don't know. And or not 3 weeks, but 7 weeks prior. And but there had to be something that triggered them, and I just don't know what it was. Did he receive a letter? Was there something um, uh, that happened at the with his attorneys? Um, did he see a headline? Did he see a news broadcast? Did he receive some notice from some family member? But what triggered him to do that just out of nowhere? And then while his wife is listening to this, she hangs up um, because there's all different kinds of things that could trigger individuals. Just don't know what it was with him that day. Just like I don't know what triggered him on in February um, to do that. Yeah, Chris was so excited when he contacted me earlier today that hey, they dropped the docks, and I was still working at the time, and I was trying to get some uh, firearm testing done, and had a great day of testing. Um, Made some couple of critical finds on some firearms testing today. Okay, Miss Cyrene, thank you. $3 super sticker. Appreciate your support. Kelt says, "That's it. I'm tired making too many mistakes." Hey, I live in it. Hey, Prof, what you doing? Good to see you. Um, Todd says a lot of cell phones and portable drives were removed from his home during the search. Very unusual to have so many phones. It is, and it does make you wonder why he wouldn't turn them in and recycle them through. Although I have several phones, because especially now with what goes on with identity theft with some of the smartphones, I'm more cautious with them than I am my uh, older flip phones. You can have all the flip phones in the world, wouldn't bother me a bit. Anar says, I have small feet, uh, and often wear men's shoes, small men, but still men's. Oh, you have wide feet. Okay. I have wide feet. You know, I have to wear uh, quad E's. If I don't, my little toe goes out the side of the shoe in just a few weeks. Yeah, on Keegan Klein, what does he know, or is he just lies? And we still don't know if there's going to be any type of link to that CSAM and stuff. We really don't know yet. Maybe in these documents. Don't know. I have no idea. Gail Hurd says, since he had weapons, supposedly, do you think he went um, to the bridge with premeditated intent? Some people. Now, I keep firearms and knives on me also. So, just because you have a knife and a firearm on you doesn't mean that you're um, going out to do something. But is that his normal carry? And they'll find that out from his wife, because you can ask Mrs. Steve, and about your family and your spouse. Is it normal that he or she routinely carries a firearm? And if for some reason one day that they've never carried it, all of a sudden they do carry one, what does that mean, and why are they doing that? And so we'll have to find that out, if that was the normal thing for him to do. Rolo says that there will be a arguments and they'll be overturned if he does go to trial. Um, I don't know if he'll go to trial. I really don't. Yeah, and that's the big question. Did Richard Allen know that the girls were there? I have no idea, but there is that possibility. That's a lot of people are asking that same question. Was it opportunity, and then he just targeted them, or what was the reason for that? Or had he targeted them on a previous trip? And Broom said, and that's I don't know. Um, it was enough that um, they transcribed whatever he said, and from to his wife, and so we'll get to see that at some point. Yes, in the U.S., a lot of people do trade in their old phones, or it's always offered. I don't know if they do it, but I have a few times. Dino says, Steve, I still believe that round was placed there as a signature. Just seems so weird to eject a round. It does. Um, and but I think there was something Chris read today about that you could hear the racking of or the him working the slide and racking the firearm while he was on the bridge, and which is odd. But there's a lot of people out there that won't load a firearm until um, they wish to present it. And is he one of those persons? It appears so. Yeah, the physical description could have thrown off the conservation officer that, yeah, he knew that Richard Allen was just a little bit over 5 feet, and they're talking about someone that's almost 6 foot. So I could see where there could be some confusion. Miss Siren, doesn't matter as I like this channel anyway. Um, I hope I didn't do something. I might have missed something that you said. If you had a question, throw it back in there if I missed it. But I did appreciate your donation and your support. Thank you. I don't know if if Richard Allen has ever admitted knowing Kegan Klein. Yes, and there's no Waffle House jokes yet. You're correct. Or see who else is jealous of Steve's wife. Poor old Mrs. Steve. Oh man, I we were riding the other day and we were talking about the roses that was over there that I bought her many years ago that were plastic, and she's gonna get them out for y'all. And I think she's gonna put them on display back here. I'm a romantic. Eileen says, "Do these documents change your upcoming look at Delphi?" Um, no, no. I'm gonna come through Delphi and still look at it, and you know, uh, the only thing when we look at this case as it progresses, are there going to be any more tentacles? Are there going to be any other offenders? There is always that possibility, but it appears, if he was in the confessing mode and he didn't throw anybody else under the bus other than himself, then, he may very well have been a lone wolf. Yeah, no, I don't know if it's him, if it's his first time. I do but think that he has some type of other crimes because it's just so hard to believe that you would trigger to commit that much violence and to two innocent little children. It makes no sense. Did Todd say Todd? Um, yeah, Todd, that's a good point. That anytime you have a suspect or someone that comes forward and says, "Yeah, I was there during the whole time that this occurred and what you're looking for," and um, might have thrown him off. Ah, Mr. Steve, while watching a lawyer stream earlier, I asked him if he would take a look at the docs. He said he would try to in the next few days. Yes, that's the thing is that there's so many docs, and thank you for your support. Appreciate that. Um, that there are so many docs in this thing, and I can imagine with these attorneys how overwhelmed they would be trying to figure all these things out. Sweet Caroline, good to see you. Good to see you. And I said, a firearm. Oh, okay, but also a knife. Um, let's see. I think I've got a knife in each pocket. I do. I have a knife in each pocket. Now, one of them's a box cutter and one of them's a multi tool. So they're not really, I don't know if either one of them class as uh, 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 meet the classification of a knife. Although I do have several knives, but one of them, like I said, one of them's a multi tool and one of them's a box cutter. And um, I just like a box cutter. I work at um, I volunteer at a food pantry, and so a box cutter comes in quite handy. Lee Cordell, good to see you. Yeah, Ray, I don't know why anyone didn't follow up with him either early on. It makes no sense. Yeah, Todd, it is strange that just within one day, the conservation officer missed that connection. Yeah, and it could have just been uh, random. Dino says, "True crime. Having dealt with guilt before and guilty parties, do you see a broken man?" I, in one of my shows last week or the week before, that's what I talked about that seeing him walk. That's a man that's been defeated, and that's before I knew that. Just prior to that, um, in the last 60 days, he had made that confession to his wife. But Lisa says, "I'm back. Battery working again. Great." There's so many phones and technology. I used to have the old bag phone. When Mrs. Steve and I first got together, that's when I got my first bag phone. And back in the day and age of the beepers. And I think actually there was some beepers that were recovered there also. Lisa says she had a mob boyfriend that unalived some people. Yeah, he could have, Dano, used the firearms for intimidation. Absolutely. Yeah, Lee, and that was part of the point of that this isn't just a random person saying this. This is a person um, that if you had a checklist uh, of trying to identify someone, um, and you had to put a certain list of were you there a certain time, were you on the bridge, were you wearing this, did you park at such and such location? If you hit that list of questions, Richard Allen hit them. Used to be. There goes used to be. She's already heading to the Waffle House. Jocelyn says, "No Waffle House talk. Waffle up good." Um, yeah, there's a lot of people that carry firearms, Dwayne, in a lot of different ways. Yes, and I was correct about the life expectancy of plastic flowers. And the last time they're silk and plastic, and the last time I saw them, they looked like brand new because Mrs. Steve has them well packaged and protected. Uh, Boy, she won't let you live nothing down. Yeah, issue the racking of the firearm, like I said, it could be for that intimidation and scare tactics. Absolutely. Lisa's frying up some grits. Yes, Emerald City, I have some really nice people that support this channel. Absolutely. And Todd said there's only two docs that I need to read. And yeah, but I really want to look at all, even the stuff that is because I look at some of the stuff like the motions for the fact that through the motions you see what each side is concerned with, and especially the defense, that if they want to suppress something, then I really like to see what the defense wants to suppress. Yes, Eileen, I seen where someone had sent me that address before on the up in Greenwood. Yeah, Lone Wolf, Slimy Creek. Yes, Dave. From my understanding, from what Chris read today, and I think I saw it while he was reading, that there was a mention of him racking the slide while he was on the bridge prior to them leaving the bridge. It says my beeper just went off. I have to go meet someone. Yeah, there's 19 files withheld by the judge. Excellent. Uh, MK says, do you think he kept up with all the YouTubers covering Delphi, or would that stress him out? I think that he kept up with it. Um, and that was even part of the behavioral science unit's profile, that he would keep up with it. And we have pictures of him sitting in front of the flyers. Absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, it used to be. I cannot imagine what those little girls went through. Absolutely sad, terrible. All right. Oh yeah, yeah. She loves those flowers. She really does. She loves aggravating me about them more than anything. All righty, guys. But if anybody's got any other questions or anything, and uh, over the next few days, I'm gonna take 2 or 3 hours a day. I still have a lot of things that we do as far as working on cold cases and things, and so a lot of the content and things I don't have all the time in the world. And I've been trying to like tomorrow, I've still got to cook up some more ballistic gelatin for another firearms test I'm doing for um, uh, a cold case, and so I have to get that done tomorrow. And so I've got a busy day on it, and it is not conducive to doing a lot of research when you're making ballistic gelatin and you're prepping and trying to create everything for the firearms testing. But I appreciate everybody being here. Yeah, it is incredible that he was only uh, uh, very close to that bridge and to those residences. Yes, Cal, thank you. Appreciate you being here tonight. Yes, the plastic roses are, they've lasted a long time. This computer drives you crazy sometimes. You hit the wrong button and it just does weird things. All right. Yes, Pat, I tried to get all the questions and I know I may miss a few. Uh, Steve, wouldn't that mean 2 bullets? And there is that possibility, if it was loaded and he was on the bridge, that there may have one been under the bridge that they never found, or he's like some people carry a full magazine but a empty chamber, and then they have to load it. And so I don't know what type of personality he is. Yeah, I expect there will be more coming out. I absolutely do, MK. All right. But Dan, Don, good to see you. Yeah, the Google machine just drives me crazy. But I appreciate everybody being here tonight, and we'll get with you. I think what, in just a few hours. It ain't going to be that long, um, and but about 18 hours, I guess. I'll see y'all, and y'all stay safe out there, and I'll see y'all soon. And bye bye. Appreciate all the support, and the mods, and everything. Thank you.